I'm going to play a 2-minute clip from my talk, Do the Impossible. And this clip specifically is about, it's a story that I think is perfect for the situation we find ourselves in right now. So enjoy this short clip.
I want to share with you one more thought, because what happens when you're scared? When you attempt impossible things, it's scary. Let me tell you a time when I was scared. Doing this. I didn't want to do this. Not stand in front of you. I didn't want to talk about this. I was into my 30s and I would not talk to anyone about having Tourette syndrome. I really didn't even want to talk to my parents about it. I didn't want to say the words. Scared the hell out of me. Because it was my weakness. At least that's what I thought. It was the thing that I had no control over. It wasn't for any fault of my own that I had this, and I had to live with this. I had friends that have known me since childhood that it was never brought up. It was never talked about. The idea that I would be willing to stand in front of you and have this discussion is ludicrous to me 10 years ago. I had a couple of friends who knew me extraordinarily well, and one guy in particular, interestingly enough, the same guy who wrote the article, who said, you have to go talk to people about this. And I said, do not ever bring that up again. But he was persistent, and little by little he got through to me. And I finally saw the wisdom. And the moment that I was willing to stand up in front of people, then it opened up a whole new world to me. It opened up a connection with you that I was never able to make just doing magic tricks. There's a mentor of mine who I knew him through his writings and through his publications, but I got to sit down with him. And I was working on something for a magic show, and it was a little bit different than what most people are used to seeing, or what they're not used to. They're not used to expecting this type of thing from magicians. And so I said to him, I'm working on this thing, and to be honest with you, it scares me, and I'm trying to figure out how to put it in front of an audience without them just thinking I'm an idiot. And he thought about it for a second, and he looked at me, he's sitting right across from me, and I said, so what do I do when I'm scared to do this? And he said, well, Jason, I guess sometimes we just have to be brave.
Sometimes we just have to be brave. Pretty smart. It's pretty strong. It knocked me for a loop when he said that. I was like, whoa. I mean, it was so simple and yet so profound. I was blown away. So what can we learn from this video? Number one, I think sometimes we just have to be brave when we're dealing with the things that are difficult in our lives. We can certainly be compassionate towards ourselves. We can certainly have mindfulness, but we also just have to know that sometimes the only way through is to push through. And facing our fear. Here's one of the most interesting things I've learned about facing the things that have scared me. When you face them down, you gain power over them. So instead of something that you're scared of, or that feels a bit overwhelming to you, instead of allowing it to have power over you, much like what mindfulness does, it gives you power over it. Grace, did anything come to mind to you? And I mean, I don't know, when you saw that video clip, or when you were watching that or listening to the message, did anything pop into your head at all about it?
Yeah, actually a few things, really. Just for me, I've struggled with anxiety my whole life, and one of my biggest things is I'm such a homebody, and even just telling you about going to Japan, that was really scary for me. And but obviously I really wanted to do it. It's something so good for my career. And then also when I went on my national tour that I went on in in December, I was really scared about that too. But you hit it though. Just sometimes you have to be brave. And I remember, I guess a quote that came to my mind is that if it excites you and scares you at the same time, it probably means you should do it. And that's I just had that in my head right before going to Japan, right before going to Burning Man, right before going to on my national tour. And those were all positive things, but also even right now with everything that's going on, I can relate to this a lot. And I'm sure everybody else can. Yesterday I broke down pretty hard, just trying to not let the anxiety take over. And what do we do? Nobody knows. Nobody has the answer right now. but really just trying to find that mindfulness and that resilience. It's hard right now, but one thing at a time, sitting there listening to your breath. Like for me, it was, I tried to accept that I was, maybe a little depressed, maybe having a lot of anxiety, and, filling that void for me was I just, any kind of plans that I kind of sort of had yesterday, just threw them out the window and played with my hula hoops.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was great. It was
That's
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mm.
That's great. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing, because now is the time. It's it's more now than ever when we have to connect with each other. And when I learned
Yeah.
how to basically be vulnerable in front of a large crowd of people, there was a connection that I made that I had never made before. I mean, I even said it in the video clip. And so I think it's important to just kind of be there as champions and friends for each other, and to say, hey, it is perfectly okay for you to have a hard day or two or three or a week. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So all right, that's great. That's great. So right now I want to share. Oh, I will just go ahead and mention that if you're interested in my keynote program, you can check out my website. It has all the information about that program that you saw a clip from, and it is jasonmichaelsmagic.com.